heard all those stories that were so rampant a year ago. The king of rock and roll never died back in 1977, that it was all a charade so he could become a private citizen. Elvis is still alive. I know that you know from firsthand that that is not the case. Why?
That's exactly right, Geraldo. In fact, that's the very introduction to our book. It starts at the funeral parlor in Memphis when I was asked by Vernon Presley to go and prepare Elvis's hair for his funeral. And you can imagine the shock. I mean, I'm sure you knew where you were that day. Most people do when they heard that Elvis died. When I arrived on the scene at the Memphis parlor to do his hair, it was 8 o'clock in the morning. There were thousands and thousands of people outside. It was hot and muggy. There were helicopters buzzing up ahead. I was led into a building by a dozen or so police officers, and they led me down this corridor. And I was thinking as I'm walking down, how am I going to do this? Is this real? Is this a nightmare? Is it, what? I felt like I was hemorrhaging inside. And then I was led into a room, and there's Elvis lying on a table. And it was the most awesome reality to present itself.
So now, was your job then to dress the king up so he would look his best on that,
exactly.
Final public appearance?
You know, a few months earlier, he said, hey, I know what the public is thinking. I know what people are saying. I know how I look, but I'll tell you what, I'm going to look good in my casket. And that kept ricocheting back and forth in my mind. I walked into the room, I looked at Elvis, and I wasn't prepared that he had a regrowth of white hair because we were off touring for about 6 weeks. And after working with someone so intimately for so many years, Geraldo, you know that person, you know that person's body. And I proceeded to do Elvis's hair. It took quite a while, it took about an hour. One of Elvis's friends and associates, Charlie Hodge, assisted me. And I can tell you categorically that the truth of the matter is Elvis did die in 1977. And so I can get a little bit of information. Geraldo, when she was on your program, did she speak about that picture in the National Enquirer that didn't look like Elvis?
Oh, the woman who maintained that Elvis wasn't dead?
The one that fabricated the story.
Yeah, I don't even remember. I wasn't listening that closely.
Well, you know, she quoted me in her book, and she said that I pasted Elvis's sideburns on, and she got that from Albert Goldman's book, which was
Are you saying that, you know, just to make this, to go from the sublime to the ridiculous, Elvis really had white or gray hair?
He had white hair. I dyed his hair black for many, many years. In fact, in 1956 is when he first started to dye his hair black.
56?
1956, yes, in Loving You. I wasn't working for him then. I started working for Elvis in 1964. But during all those years, I dyed his hair black.
You know, he was concerned, you mentioned his appearance. Yes. He was overweight. I mean, he was very heavy.
Elvis was
fat,
very, well, he was bloated, Geraldo. Elvis had tremendous physical problems. He had glaucoma, he had hypertension, he had a spastic colon, and he thought perhaps he had cancer.
Now, Mary Jenkins is here in our New York studio nodding her head. Now, I understand he was troubled physically, but tell us what Elvis's favorite snack was, Mary.
What his favorite snack was peanut butter and banana sandwich.
I want to be right back because we asked Mary to prepare a sample of what Elvis liked to eat. Now, take a look at this. This is not what you call health food, though, is it? Now, you eat very many of these. Now, you're probably a great banana and peanut butter sandwich maker. But,
yeah,
you can't have too many of these.
I didn't eat too many of them.
What?
But he just loved them.
He did?
Oh,
like,
yeah.
Would he eat a whole bunch?
Oh, my goodness, yeah. But the first time that I ever made some for him, that morning I walked into the dining room and I said, "You ready for your breakfast?" He said, "Yes." He said, "I got something new for you this morning." I said, "What is it?" He said, "Peanut butter and banana sandwich." I said, "What?" Just like that. And he said, "Yeah, I brought this menu back with me." recipe. And Priscilla said, Mary, don't get excited. She said, he made me go back 5 times before I got it right. And the first time I went, I fixed them, brought them back. That's not right. Second time, the same thing. Third time, the same thing. And the 4th time, his father, he said, Mary, I'm going to go in the kitchen and help you, see if we can get it right. And when we got in the kitchen, he said, let's toast the bread first and then fix the sandwich. And we did. We toasted the bread, put the peanut butter on there, and then sliced the bananas. And
I had no idea that peanut butter and banana could be that complicated.
well, it's
Joan Hannah, what did Frank Sinatra like to eat at his Palm Beach or Palm Springs resort home when you were around there?
Frank was basically a meat and potatoes man, gravy and homemade biscuits and homemade pies. Frank alternately would have 24 loaves of Italian bread shipped in from Hoboken at $900 by jet. That's the only kind of bread that he would eat.
When did he eat? I understand in an article published about your revelations that he slept all day and was up all night. So what time would he have dinner?
That's right. Frank and Barbara would usually have their supper around 6 o'clock in the evening. And he was definitely a night person. Sleep all day and he'd be up all night.
Was he a nice person?
The only thing, I was there for 3 weeks, and the only thing Frank ever said to me, we were never formally introduced. He never came into the kitchen to say, welcome aboard, or any of that sort of thing. He just said, I met him walking his dogs at 2 o'clock in the morning with his mismatched pajamas on and without his toupee. That's the first time I met him. And he said to me, hello, sweetie, and that was it. Frank is a very, very private person. There's no chit-chat going on. He is totally immaculate when it comes to the kitchen. If you use an appliance, you have to clean it and put it away immediately. Nothing can be left on a counter. Nothing can be left out. It has to be spotless at all times.
You mentioned that he didn't wear his wig when he was walking around. Did he keep them any special
His toupee.
place?
Yes, Frank has a caboose on his property. And in that caboose, there is a sauna and a steam and a little barbershop. And Frank has about 15 toupees, and I should really be calling him Mr. Sinatra because no one calls him Frank. So anyway, Mr. Sinatra, yes, he has 15 toupees, and the barber comes in every few weeks to trim them and take care of them.
God, you get the chills, don't you, thinking about what people could tell about you? You know about your life? Now, did you have a story about one of those toupees and a dog of yours?
Yes, I had my dog with me. I asked Mr. Sinatra if I could bring my dog with me when I was down in Palm Springs. And I happened to have an Alaskan Malamute who's about 140 pounds. So Mr. Sinatra said, yes, you can bring him with you, and he can even stay in our air-conditioned doghouse. Well, Bear got a hold of one of his toupees one day and just shook the heck out of it and really ruined it. And I just about died when he did that, because when we took it out of his mouth, there was nothing left of it. But fortunately, he didn't say anything to me, so I was all right, and the dog was all right, too.
The story of the missing toupee of the chairman of the board. Frank, if you haven't heard it before, you heard it now. All right, from Zsa Zsa and Leona and Rose Kennedy, the matriarch herself, the inside story when the hired help tells all. We'll be right back.
This is Contour's Deluxe Model 535 chair. It's available at less than 50% of a Contour Granada's price. Like Granada, Contour's Deluxe 535 chair features the same special orthopedic design, just at the touch of a button, and comes with 2 built-in heat and 2 built-in massage units, so it may temporarily relieve low back pain and edema or swelling of the legs. But because it doesn't come in leather and it's not custom-made, it's less than 50% of Granada's price. That's right, less than 50%. Call a helpful operator to get full details by mail about Contour's Deluxe Model 535 chair. Hello?
May I help you?
I'd like to receive information by mail about all of Contour's relaxing chairs.
Right away, sir.
Pick up your phone and call now.
Call 1-800-252-0800. That's 1-800-252-0800. Toll free. Call 1-800-252-0800.
I've lost 35 pounds in 10 weeks, and I feel fantastic.
Take it off. Keep it off. Half off. Now get the best for less. Weight Loss Clinic is having a half-off February sale. That's only $49 for 5 weeks. Lose weight quickly with our proven techniques and keep it off permanently. Get one-on-one counseling from people who care about you. Eat delicious meals at home or at restaurants, not out of a box. Call now for your free personalized evaluation.
I couldn't do it on my own, so I went to Weight Loss Clinic.
What's better than one Lazy Boy recliner for comfort?
Two.
And right now you can buy 2 great chairs for one great low price at your Lazy Boy showcase shops. Save big on pairs of chairs starting as low as $399. Take advantage of specially reduced prices when you buy 2 recliners. After all, the only thing better than one Lazy Boy recliner is 2. 2 great chairs for one great low price. Hurry in for this great offer at your nearby Lazy Boy showcase shops.
When the hired help tells all, our focus, I asked Mike Walker from the Inquirer to bring in a typical copy of the gossip pages that he edits, and look at the one he brings in. Look who's on the cover. Biggest womanizer except this rag.
That was a mistake because I brought that in actually because your guest that you just spoke to, Mr. Geller, had his book in the Inquirer. So I took this, I wanted to read the book, and I suddenly looked at this headline, which is about you, Geraldo.
Yeah, about me, right.
Purely a mistake. Just get rid of that.
I love appearing. What's Zsa Zsa really like? I mean, she was on the program, as you know, just a while ago, and she's very flamboyant, obviously, very controversial. Is she kind to people who work for her?
She has very little spurts, mostly not very nice at all. Every now and she'll give you a gift or something, but it's usually used or something from her closet. Nothing bought. But she's terrible. She's terrible to work with.
So we've gone from not very nice to terrible. How terrible? What do you mean? What did she do?
Constant berating, yelling, screaming, expecting way too much from a person.
Ricardo, is that about the way you remember her?
Well, I'll never forget the first day I went to work for her because I made the mistake of calling her Zsa Zsa. And she said, we had to refer to her as Miss Gabor, Princess Zsa Zsa. But I called her Zsa Zsa, and she said, oh, darling, she says, no one ever calls me Zsa Zsa. So right from the beginning, it was kind of rough with us. We had a bad start.
Did she send you a nasty Christmas card? Did I hear that?
Yeah, she did.
Do you have a copy of it?
I don't know where it went. One of the producers took it, but...
Okay. I think we're going to put it on the screen.
Yeah, I had left her to go work for an airline. And I had sent her a note that, because I know how she comes to Washington a lot. And so I was going to tell her that if she was ever in the Washington area where I resided, to give me a call. And then I got this card like 3 weeks after I had sent, a very nice note saying, thank you for letting me work for you. And that's the card I got.
Roberto, Miss Gabor is surprised you sent her an Xmas card after the cheap article you sold to Star Magazine. You were the only one who could have done it.
Yeah, and first of all, I just want to say that was the one thing she never got my...
Did you sell a cheap article to Star Magazine?
I have never sold an article. I have never sold a story on Zsa Zsa Gabor, ever. Never, ever, ever.
And that note is in between a joy to you at Christmas and blessings all year long.
But the funny thing is, my name isn't Roberto. She never, ever once got my name right. She gave me a Christmas present, which was a used Seiko watch with makeup on it. And the package said, Carlos, Merry Christmas. I don't know who Carlos was. He must have been the butler or something. I don't know.
But we all look alike.
The Roberto. So.
And I got a leather jacket one time, which I got with me now. I just wanted to put it on really quick and let you see what she considers a big gift. This was out of her closet.
The funny thing on this situation was...
to be grateful for this. Be grateful.
Just shrink those arms up, son.
The funny thing is, she was always mad at him because he always looked better in her clothes than she did.
Victor Colicchio, the most infamous of the people we're talking about, at least right now at this point in our history, is, of course, Leona Helmsley, now facing 6 billion years in prison, etc. She used to swim laps.
Yeah,
now,
every day.
Did you attend her as she was exercising?
On occasions before parties, one of my jobs would be to stand at the edge of the pool with a platter of shrimp cocktail. And every time she did a lap, I'd bend down, I'd offer her a shrimp. And so, I'd say she was in great shape. She had a good body for her age. But if she dropped a little sauce onto any of the shrimps, I'd have to go back in the kitchen, replace them, have it all nice and neat and clean before she completed a lap. Otherwise, I'm off that job, and it paid very well. And they even had a guy waiting on the wings to Yeah, if I didn't make it back, he'd be there with another platter. But sometimes she'd come, she'd take a shrimp and she'd swim towards the pool and, you know, I'm standing out, eat a couple of shrimps. And she caught me. She didn't fire me for it. She asked me, are the shrimps a little overcooked? And I just stood there. She says, are they overcooked? I thought I would have been fired for that, but no.
Now, how did you behave in her presence? I mean, could you relax around her, or?
Yeah, you know, contrary, she was quite, you know, she smiled a lot. She was actually a very warm person. She was more like a strict mother with her children towards her employees than the tyrant, you know, because she started out as very poor.
I heard you all had to stand at attention when she walked into the room.
No, what happened was she caught an assistant manager sitting on a phone talking with his wife while there were guests waiting to be checked in. And she told him he should at least be standing at attention while there are guests in the hotel. They pay a lot of money for the rooms. Let them see the service they're paying extra for. So he had to stand the rest of the day in the lobby. So I was like leaning in all these relaxed positions, and he ordered me to stand with my thumbs on my seams of my pants. Otherwise, I would have been fired. I refused, and I was fired. Not by Leona, but the managers. As a matter of fact, I was fired and hired out of there about 8 times in 2 years. These are just my IDs. Every time you get rehired, you need a new ID. These are only a couple of them.
But didn't they recognize you from the last time?
Oh, yeah, but I would always get hired back because I was never fired for any real reason to begin with. You see,
did she fire a guy for a cigarette butt?
She never actually did the firing. She was coming through the lobby, and she stopped off to the desk. I was giving her mail, and she saw a cigarette butt on the floor, and she told the manager, do something about that. And she left, and she started leaving the hotel. He got on the phone and fired the porter. But the funny thing is that day they had a new chauffeur, and the chauffeur slammed the door by accident on Harry's leg. So now, the next day, all over the hotel is that a guy's getting fired for leaving a cigarette butt on the floor, but you can kill Harry and keep your job, you know?
Is this where you get your material, Mike?
Well, we get a lot of material from people who work for the stars, who call us and say they have books to sell or stories to sell or items to sell from my column. You have a couple of panelists. Mr. Geller had his book in the Inquirer, and this lady over here had her book in the Inquirer about Rose Kennedy. So yes, they're a good source of information, but the tricky part, of course, is, did people really work for the star they say they work for? A lot of people say they do, and you have to be very careful in checking them out.
Barbara, did you really work for Rose Kennedy?
Yes, I did. I was her personal secretary for almost 10 years.
You'll tell us your story in 2 minutes, okay? Be right back. Hired Help Tells All. Okay.
Contact first made news in 1961. In 1976, the news was too Sudafed. Today, there's new Co-Advil. Co-Advil has what no other cold product has. The pain reliever in Advil plus a proven decongestant. A combination never available before in just one tablet. Co-Advil is so effective it can relieve nasal congestion, sinus pressure, and the aches and pains of your cold, all without drowsiness. Read label before using. New Co-Advil. Advanced formula for cold and sinus relief.
At a prestigious cheese competition in New York, Cracker Barrel Cheddar wins a gold medal. It's 17th, and since nothing succeeds like success, introducing Cracker Barrel Havarti, Vermont Cheddar, Munster, and Baby Swiss. Each made with the same care as our award-winning cheese. So when will they win you over? Cracker Barrel from Kraft, judged to be the best.
It's naughty but nice. It's about when the hired help tells all. Be right back.
This is distinctive Schweiger furniture, custom handmade for over 90 years right here in Wisconsin. The furniture you grew up with, the furniture you've admired for years. At Comfort Shop, you can own the sofa you want in the fabric you want, and it's just $3.99 with all the incomparable features Schweiger is famous for, including a lifetime warranty. Why buy a no-name brand sofa when you can own genuine Schweiger for just $3.99? You choose the style, you choose the cover, the quality furniture you've admired for years. Now yours for an incredible Comfort Shop price.
The checking account, a basic fact of life for most of us. Yet many people still pay monthly service charges on their checking account.
There you go.
Others earn no interest on their checking accounts. If you save at Mutual, regular savings, IRA, or a CD, you likely qualify for a checking account that will pay you interest and won't cost you monthly service charges. If you don't now save at Mutual, aren't these good reasons to start? Mutual. The best checking choice in town.
It's the Mark of Zero at Maine. The Mark of Zero is now on VCR's TV's Appliances at Maine. And now at Maine, dependable Maytag Appliance is America's #1 preferred washer and dryer. They too have the Mark of Zero. 0% till January 1991 on thousands of items. Hurry in before the Mark of Zero disappears. Who was that mass Maine?
Really beat the giant. You bet.
The Brothers Maine.
The designers at Rubens Furniture invite you to Rubens' free love seat sale. The rolled-arm camelback sofa is a stylish complement to any room, and the matching love seat is free. The classic tuxedo sofa is a perfect addition to any living environment, and the matching love seat is free. The Scandinavian design sofa provides generous seating, and the matching love seat is free. These 3 sofas are available in your choice of hundreds of fabrics for only $5.99, and the matching love seat is free. At Rubens Furniture, 317 East Wilson Street, downtown Madison.
When the hired help tells all.
The 2 guys that work for Zsa Zsa, after she did all that stuff to you, didn't you ever tell her where to go, you know what I mean?
So that's how eventually everybody leaves. Yeah, telling her where
Actually,
to go.
she never gives you a chance to say anything, so, but, yeah. You can't get a word edgewise with her at all.
My question is for the lady on the end, Elvis's cook, Mary. I hear everyone complaining about like Zsa Zsa and Mr. Sinatra. How was Elvis as a, an employer? Was he nice to you?
Lovely. He was a wonderful person. And he did so many wonderful things for me. In '74, he bought me a beautiful home and a new car for my Christmas present. And when he pays, everybody, my phone rang all night long asking me, what did he, they wasn't interested in him dying. They wanted to know, what did he leave me? I said, he give me mine whilst he was alive. And he was a wonderful person. He would help anybody that needed help if he knew it.
Geraldo?
Yes, Larry.
He's just a wonderful person.
Go ahead.
Geraldo, it's unbelievable to me. I'm hearing these stories of people calling Mr. and Mrs. and the rigidity and the formalities. Elvis was the most extraordinary person in terms of he would give so much of himself to other people, like Mary was saying, cars, homes, jewelry, transplants, kidneys.
Right.
I never saw a day go by in Elvis's life where he didn't give something. He was so appreciative that he was in the position that he was in. We would be at the studios, and one of the workers would say, Mr. Presley. He'd say, no, call me Elvis. Never Mr. Presley, always Elvis.
That's right.
Very informal.
Was Rose Kennedy, Barbara, that informal?
No, not really. She was very easy to be around, but she wasn't that informal.
In her case, how did the famous grandchildren behave around her?
Very much in awe of their grandmother. Always, they used to speak of people standing at attention. They didn't stand at attention, but they always rose when she entered the room. If everyone was there for lunch, and they may have gone in and sit down at the table, she would be the last one to arrive. She'd sit at the head of the table, and they'd all rise. If they were in the pool when she was walking out in the pool area, they would all stand up, regardless of whether they were swimming in the pool or what. But they were very much in awe of their grandmother.
Do you think there was real love there, or was it just intimidation?
Well, love and admiration, and they'd just been taught that she was the head, the remaining head of the family.
Well, that's not unlike grandparents who survive long times, is it? I mean, or was it different?
No, not really, but it's just, there were so many funny things that went on in the background that she didn't realize that were going on.
Like what?
Things that the grandchildren were doing and things that her own children were doing behind.
Were they really trying to sneak their girlfriends into the president's bedroom?
Yes. Everyone always wanted the president's bedroom in each house in Palm Beach and Hyannisport. One bedroom, which was called the president's bedroom. He was always referred to as the president, by the way. was reserved, and that was always at the end of the house, and it had, the one in Palm Beach had its own entrance, and the one in Annisport was on the corner. So the youngsters, or these people were at high school and college age at this time, would want that room. If they got there first, they would take that room, and then they would sneak in at night, sneak their girlfriends in and out during the night.
Any of them get caught on the way in or out?
No, because she couldn't hear them if they were in the president's bedroom.
Was she energetic? Was she lethargic? I mean, she's been around so long. I'd like to know.
Well, she'll be 100 in July. But at this point, she's bedfast. I mean, you know, she has round-the-clock nurses. But when I worked for her, she was very, very energetic and a great schedule. And that in that way, she was very inspiring to me.
Was she like Elvis, a generous person?
No. No, she was too precarious to be generous. She's very stingy. If she gave me a gift, she'd call me at night and tell me to bring it back the next day.
Like what?
She did that. An item of clothing. She once found something. We were always going over things in the attic, and she found a silver spoon, and she gave that to me, and she called me that night and asked me to bring it back. She just didn't like to give things to people.
How do you feel about her generally? Mixed emotions?
I, over the years, built up this real feeling of, it was almost like a mother-daughter. I'm not saying it was, but it was very close to that, and still being an employer and an employee.
I haven't read My Life with Rose Kennedy, but are you kind to her, or do you take shots?
I take a few shots, but I really prefer to take the shots at the grandchildren and what I call the first string. That's her children, Teddy, Pat Lawford, Gene Smith. And in fact, I'm working on a book now about the grandchildren.
What about Teddy and that generation? Who was the least attentive to their moms? To their mom?
I would say they were all very attentive. They were also very much in awe of her. And they acted almost like children. The senator acted like a young boy around her. And she acted very coquettish, like, you know, like he was her remaining son. And every time he came, she got all dressed up for him, put her hat on, and, you know, she always wore a hat at lunch anyway. But she always got dressed up for him and all excited.
You know, now with so much happening to these children, they seem so star-crossed. Not only the generation of Ted, you know, obviously losing two of his brothers, but also their children. Some have done well, but others have been involved in things like overdoses. And, you know, is there something that you see in the parents that you could say that's why?
I always felt that this sort of obsession with fulfilling the Kennedy dream was overshadowing their real basic needs when they were growing up. And I think this constant striving to do better and be successful and be in power was something that was instilled in them from the time they were small children. And this has caused them in their adult years to rebel against their parents, but in so doing, they're really damaging themselves.
Mike mentioned that your book was excerpted in the Inquirer. How did the Kennedys react to that?
I didn't get any reaction at all, really. Just from some of the nephews and nieces, that's all I heard from.
Anybody get mad at you?
No, I heard that they didn't like it very well, but I didn't expect any different reaction, really.
Got to take a break. When the hired help tells all.
This is distinctive Schweiger furniture, custom handmade for over 90 years right here in Wisconsin. The furniture you grew up with, the furniture you've admired for years. At Comfort Shop, you can own the sofa you want in the fabric you want, and it's just $3.99 with all the incomparable features Schweiger is famous for, including a lifetime warranty. Why buy a no-name brand sofa when you can own genuine Schweiger for just $3.99? You choose the style, you choose the cover, the quality furniture you've admired for years. Now yours for an incredible Comfort Shop price.
Powder Mill Inn, Big Snow Country's finest resort hotel, is back this winter with their Ski and Stay Midweek Super Saver Package. Ski Big Powderhorn, Blackjack over the Whitecap Mountains while you enjoy Powder Mill Inn's indoor pool, jacuzzi, and sauna. Fine dining, 2 lounges, and beautiful guest rooms, all under one roof. The midweek Super Saver, just $49.50 per person. Lifts, lodging, and meals included for just $49.50. Powder Mill Inn is located just 2 hours north of Wausau on Highway 51. Call toll-free 1-800-882-0888 for details.
3, 2, 1. Meet a Wisconsin man who loves to blow things up and gets paid for it.
I could feel that sucker.
Gary Nelson's Sidelights, Thursday at 6 and 10, only on News Scene 15.
3, 2, 1.
Watch the Wisconsin Badger basketball team make the Spartans into cowards. Thursday at 7, only on WMTV, Channel 15.
Tired of missing the bus? Car won't start again? Had it with the heat, but you just don't have the time to shop for another car? Relax. Now you can shop while you sleep with WMTV's Auto Classifieds. Just set your VCR to record WMTV after NBC programming Monday through Friday, and local car dealers will provide you with video snapshots, descriptions, and prices of previously owned vehicles. Then play back the tape at your convenience and find the perfect car for you. WMTV Auto Classifieds. Set your VCR tonight.
Took a quick poll of our audience here and asked how many of them worked in, this very personal capacity as either a nanny or a secretary or butler or whatever for someone. And this lady here in the front row raised her hand. Here, stand a second. Let me ask you, what is your boss's favorite food?
My rice and beans with hot sausages and nice red beans.
Now, is he a nice guy or is he a cheapskate?
He's the most wonderful, caring human being I have ever seen.
Would you sell his secrets to the National Enquirer?
No way. Okay.
Thank you.
No.
Millie's my son's nanny.
My question is for Barbara Gibson. I was curious on what terms you left the Kennedy family, and do you have any gratitude towards the Kennedys since they've now enabled you to write a book and, in turn, make money?
I feel a sense of gratitude to Mrs. Kennedy. In many ways, she inspired me.
But did she fire you?
No, she didn't fire me.
Why did you leave?
I left because my son was being uprooted by my going back and forth between Florida and Hyannisport. So I decided that I would have to stay in one
I think
spot.
implicit in what the lady asked is a kind of, aren't you telling tales out of school?
Yeah, I suppose. But I really think that I've told a lot of things. There's only like one other book that's ever been written about Mrs. Kennedy other than the book that she wrote herself. And over the years, I've just been asked by so many people, I mean people, young people, college people, executives in big companies, what is Rose Kennedy really like? And that's what really started my idea about writing the book.
This is for Mary. How is Priscilla really like?
Priscilla was a wonderful person, but you had to learn her to know. Now, the first day that I started working there, I don't know, it looked like I was afraid of her. And when I first started to working there, I was the maid because they had a cook and they didn't need a cook. And I washed that day, and after I got through washing, I ironed. And the best pair of pajamas she had, I was ironing them and I'd taken the whole plug out of them. I said, oh, Lord, I just got here today and I'm fixing to leave today. And they got up and got ready for dinner. And I went into the dining room. She said, Mary, what's wrong with you? She said, you look mighty sad. I said, well, it's sad time. She said, what is it? I said, I was ironing your pajamas and I'd taken a plug out of them. And I know you gonna find me. She said, oh, Mary, throw them things in the garbage and go on back to doing what you're doing. So when she said that, I just felt so much better. I just felt like a new person. And from then on, I learned her. And the older she gotten, and the longer I stayed there, the better she was. And she's a sweet person.
Okay, do you think it's fair?
Priscilla.
Do you think it's fair that you guys tell the secrets of these people, to sell them to...
Well,
Is it fair to talk about Mr. Sinatra's 15 toupees and
Well, you know, I think
one of them
that's
getting munched by your dog?
I think that's a fun thing. I don't think that's a trashy thing. And I've basically worked for 15 major celebrities over the years, and of all the 15 celebrities, there's only one that was totally disappointing. All the others were fun, and they were wonderful to be with.
And he's the only disappointment?
Oh, no. He wasn't disappointment. He was great fun.
Who was disappointing?
Michael Landon.
Michael Landon from
In every
Heaven
way.
to Highway or whatever?
Absolutely. Absolutely. The
No.
worst.
He's not Saint Michael?
His wings are very tarnished.
I was wondering how you all got this job, and since you were working for such famous people, weren't you always on your guard and like worried about how they thought of you and like?
I got hired because a friend of mine wanted to design dresses for Zsa Zsa, and I had heard from him that he couldn't work for her. He walked out under 2 hours after he was with her, so that's how I got mine. And then after I went from Zsa Zsa, I worked for Gary Collins and Marianne Mobley, and that was through Zsa Zsa's dress designer. So a lot of it, I think a lot of it's word of mouth. Or
Do you feel sorry for Leona now?
Yeah, I do really feel sorry for her. I feel she was tried more for her personality than her crimes.
She should have been sentenced for her personality, but...
Yeah, but, you know, she was on trial for tax evasion. I think, according to Palace Coop, she built the government out of $4 million. I think let her pay $40 million into the government would be a suitable punishment for her crime. And I do feel sorry for her because everyone, you know, it's very sad to see this let's stone the sinner attitude by the press and public. And what she's accused of doing, I think a lot worse is being done to her. So to me, it seems kind of, you know, hypocritical because you never hear the nice stories. Like Leona would throw us Christmas parties for all the employees every year. For us, for our wives, our kids, we'd all come down. Her and Harry would attend the parties. They'd dance with the employees. You know, it's a total different picture from what I'm reading. You know, totally different. I do feel sorry for her.
Brian, do you feel sorry for Zsa Zsa?
With the trial thing? No. Only because...
Tell us for course in 2 minutes. We got to take a break. We'll be right back.
It's 0% interest for 12 months on every furniture item at American. And reduced prices on quality dining sets. This 5-piece set with oak parquet top, $266. Elegant brass and glass with 4 chairs, $369, and no interest for a year. A quality oak set by Cochrane, solid oak chairs, 4 mica top, only $449. There's special sale pricings on all dining sets. Every furniture item comes with 0% interest and the guaranteed low price. 12 months and not 1 penny of interest.
Coming up on Hard Copy, she's sexy, outspoken, and there's only one Cher.
When she wants to do something, it will get done, no matter what it takes.
She's come a long way from her singing days with Sonny to her own perfume line and an Oscar win. Oh, you've seen the tattoos, wild gowns, and young beaux, but what's she really like?
I have many inhibitions.
The public and private side of Cher on Hard Copy.
Thursday at 5.
Welcome to Market Square Shopping Center. We invite you to shop in a relaxed, friendly atmosphere where there's always plenty of parking and a great selection of the best of everything. Now's the time to visit Nutrisystem, Computerland, TCBY, the country's best yogurt, Market Square Fitness Center, and Tickle Moon Children's Boutique. Experience shopping at Market Square where the accent is on service. Across from Rustero on Odana Road. Moving up to Market Square.
Ever try to sell you a phony story about a star or a phony relationship?
Yeah, it happens a lot. Out of 100 calls, 2 might work out. And when you're dealing with somebody who says they've worked for someone, you really have to go to great lengths. Now, there's simple things you can do, like check a pay stub or something like that. One of the weirdest ones I remember, Lee Harvey Oswald. Going back that far, we had a guy who claimed to be the homosexual lover of Lee Harvey Oswald in their Marine platoon. Now, of course, Oswald being conveniently dead, this was a little bit difficult to check out. But what we did was, we have sources in all kinds of strange places. And because of the government waste stories we used to do, we had a source in the Pentagon. We went to this source. He managed to get into some military records that no one could get into. Told us some details that only a homosexual lover would know about. This guy could not verify those details, and we exposed him as a fraud. It was total
like
fraud.
The dragon tattoo.
Well, fine. We got too specific.
Okay.
Well, I had a question to ask the editor. Do they double check the stories? How many sources?
Well, if our law firm, Edward Bennett Williams, arguably the best law firm in the United States, so we're told anyway.
At least what the bills indicate.
The bills, they demand, you have to have at least 2 sources for everything. And 2 sources don't mean 2 people. If 2 people view the same thing and they happen to be, let's say, man and wife, that isn't good enough. You have to have independent sources and everything. Oh. And when we deal with someone like, let's say, someone who worked for one of the stars, even though they worked for the star, okay, and even though we know they worked for the star, we don't take everything they say at face value. Every single thing has to be independently verified by somebody else.
I'd like to know what Michael Landon did that was so terrible.
Well, you have to understand, you're dealing with a man whose ego is totally out of control. And let me give you a for instance. We're in Hawaii, and a little old lady comes over and says to Michael, I've been a fan ever since Bonanza. May I have your autograph? He said, $5. She said, I only have $2.50. He said, I'm sorry. So she went over to the other side of the pool. She got the rest of the money from her husband, came back, got paid, and he said, I was only kidding. Here's the autograph. But to think that someone has the kind of an ego that they would even do that, he does the same thing on the plane. If someone sits next to him, he'll say, $5 for 3 minutes. So the man will get the $5 out of his pocket. And another thing I want to say, you can tell by looking at me, I'm certainly no olive oil. And when I worked for Michael Landon, I was a much bigger person than I am now. And he would say, this is a man who was always saying how considerate and loving and good and wonderful he is. And he would say things like, the house is shaking. Joan must be walking upstairs. Now, the worst thing he ever said, because I went through a lot of thing with the weight, I had my jaws wired at one time. And I was downstairs at the time when Michael was getting his hair frosted. He gets his frosted every 3 weeks. And he said to me, do you know that your breath would gag a maggot? Now, I'm talking about Little Joe and Charles Ingalls and Jonathan Smith. Now, those are not the kind of people he portrays on the screen, but he is, most people pick up a little bit.
For the record, Michael, I know that you watch this program. It's her saying it. I don't know. I don't have another source here, but she will swear her to her veracity.
My question is for Brian. That Jaja sounds like a real piece of work. What is the strangest thing she ever asked you to do?
Oh, God. When I traveled with her, she would always make me sing at parties for, like, her people. Just like
what song? What song?
She always had the impossible dream.
Give me a couple of beats. Come on.
I'm not going to sing. No. No.
I have a question about Elvis. I've always wondered, how come he couldn't get good medical care?
Larry?
Yes.
Why couldn't Elvis get the right doctors?
Elvis had too many doctors. It was
yeah,
really
I knew some of them too.
He had, and not only did he have different doctors, but none of them were in touch with one another.
He had drug prescribers. He didn't have doctors.
Exactly. They prescribed medications to him, and the guy was really a victim of a horrendous situation. And remember, in 1977, and until now, we've come a long way. There was no Betty Ford Clinic. People weren't revealing that they had problems with substance or alcohol or whatever. Elvis wanted to come clean. He was looking for a way to change himself, and he knew that stories were coming out, and that's why this book, If I Can Dream, came into being in the first place, because he asked me, and of all the books that have come out, this is the only book that has been authorized by Elvis, and I think it's a very important point. And in this book, he wanted people to know not only the great things about his life and his aspirations and his spiritual quest, but he wanted people to know the downside and his struggles and what he was going through. And I was keeping a diary at that time, thank God. And that's why this book is so qualitatively different, because this is everything that Elvis had to say about his life, about his mother, about death, about drugs, about you name it. And
he certainly had a lot of ups and downs. I mean, at the end of his life, he was really almost a pathetic shell of the man he had been.
Well, I must say something, Geraldo. Behind the scenes, behind closed doors, Elvis's mind was as lucid as ever. He was as vital as ever, and yet he was bombarding his system with things that he thought the doctors were helping his problems with.
Well, Placidil, Seconal, Dilaudid. I mean, the man was a walking drugstore. Got to take a break. And we'll find out about Elvis's temper. Mary Washington. If you'd like tickets to be in our studio audience, I hope you'll write us at Geraldo Tickets, Post Office Box 684, New York, New York, 10108. Or give us a call. The number 212-265-1283. We will be back in a flash. Stay tuned.
Today, discover antiperspirant protection that glides on. It's crystal clear Arid Glide On. Not a crumbly stick, not a drippy roll-on. It's clear Arid Glide On. And now new Arid Double X Glide On helps keep you extra, extra dry.
Philly cream cheese will make any breakfast more luscious, with ounce for ounce half the calories of your usual spread. We promise. No ifs, ands, or butter. Butter your bread with Philly instead.
And what have we here? Looks like someone's trying to hide their eyes. What's the matter this time? Are they red, irritated, or simply dry? Instead of hiding your eyes, help them with Clear Eyes eye drops. Clear Eyes gets rid of the redness, and unlike the leading brand, it has an extra moisturizing ingredient too. With Clear Eyes, you've got it made without the shades. Clear Eyes removes redness and moisturizes too.
We'll be back in a moment to hear more revelations from the hired help. But coming up tomorrow, is it possible to love someone too much? To love someone too dangerously? Find out when we look at what happens when passion leads to obsession and when obsession leads to violence. That's tomorrow. Be right back.
When you're buying and selling real estate, you've got to know the game. You've got to know who's coming and who's going, who's buying and who's selling.
At First Realty, we work with over 300 companies in Dane County who are transferring people. We make it our business to know who's coming and who's going.
It's not chance that sells your home. It's knowledge. And in Dane County, there's only one company calling the shots. First Realty. Knowledge that sells. First Realty, over 100 people who know the game.
Shelf and Dining's winter sale and clearance has been extended through February 13th. You can realize savings of up to 50% on all of our fine oak and cherry furniture. Now's the time to get that oak dining set, entertainment center, wall system, desk, or bedroom set you've always wanted. Everything, even custom orders, is on sale.
Shelf and Dining Furniture. Wood Furniture Specialists.
Hurry, sale ends February 13th.
It just makes sense to let your children know about important decisions.
Your parents told us about Trust 100.
So we prearranged our funerals, too.
So the kids don't have to worry about it.
Everything is in writing.
Trust 100 showed us how easy it is, and we chose exactly what I wanted.
What we wanted.
It was so simple.
Trust 100 prearrangement is offered exclusively by these family-owned funeral homes.
Trust 100 makes sense.
It's thoughtful.
Why'd we wait so long?
My beloved Millie has a question. What on?
Well, once in a while when I see Geraldo having a little too many margaritas, he loves margaritas, I say, hey.
Excuse me, next question. We'll have another question.
Mary, do you ever dare to tell Elvis, son, you're not looking so good, why don't you seek some help, I love you and I hate to see you like that, looking like that. Don't you ever say anything to him?
To Elvis? Well, I would do my part. I would do what the doctor asked all of us to help him to get on a diet, to stay on the diet that he put him on.
But all of you probably knew that the doctors were killing him. I would have called the doctors. I would have said to the doctors, you all get out of here. And you know, no.
She would have, I promise.
The food that the doctor was giving us authorities to give him, it wasn't killing him.
Well, she's talking about pills. She's not talking about
Oh, pills were not pills. No, I had lots of people ask me about that. And I was around him more than anybody except his wife, I think.
Well, you could have helped him.
But I never seen him look like he was on a pill.
You could have helped him, Mary.
You two could get together later now. Excuse me, Your Honor.
If I had known he was on it, but I didn't know.
Hi, I'd just like to know if any of you are current.
I had several.
They'll keep carrying on.
I'd just like to know if any of you are currently working for celebrities now, and if so, who?
Anybody working for the rich and famous right now?
Never again.
Why not, Brian?
Never again is right.
Not, well, from the panelists and from other people that I know that have worked for him, they're basically all, I mean, Zsa is one end of the spectrum, but they all a little bit have egos, and they like to see the people that work for them and not work with them, which is quite a difference, I think.
Being as we're talking about the rich and famous, we all want to know what you wear to bed.
Millie, what do I wear to bed? You can tell him, I tell you. Millie can tell you. What do I wear to bed?
What did you say?
What do I wear to bed?
Nothing.
I'll be right back.
The designers at Rubens Furniture invite you to a Rubens free love seat sale. The rolled-arm camelback sofa is a stylish complement to any room, and the matching love seat is free. The classic tuxedo sofa is a perfect addition to any living environment, and the matching love seat is free. The Scandinavian design sofa provides generous seating, and the matching love seat is free. These three sofas are available in your choice of hundreds of fabrics for only $5.99, and the matching love seat is free. At Rubens Furniture, 317 East Wilson Street, downtown Madison.
Jerry Ball from Ball Body Shop.
175 degrees. That's the temperature we reach to cure paint to a beautiful, lasting finish. We have the latest frame straightening technology from Blackhawk and a new computerized estimating service. Drive right in, have a cup of coffee, and in 15 minutes, you're on your way, hassle-free. Your complete satisfaction is our #1 concern, has been for 3 generations.
Your car is your second biggest investment. Bring it to Ball Body Shop, where particular people come.
Gas bill, telephone bill, electric bill, charges.
What are you doing, Herb?
I'm trying to pay these bills, Ethel.
What a mess.
You can say that again.
What a mess.
If your bills are like Herb and Ethel's, call ABC Budget Service to help you clean up the mess. They can adjust your payments to creditors, send out the checks, and keep clear computer records for you. Their fees are regulated by the state of Wisconsin. Call right now, 256-1211.
I want to quickly mention the 3 books that have already been published here. Well, I've got a minute left. Larry Gello, we mentioned If I Can Dream. Mary's book is Memories Beyond Graceland Gate. And Barbara's book is My Life with Rose Kennedy. Millie's book, The Man Who Loved Rice and Beans, will be coming out sometime. You know, I'm curious, Barbara, did Rose ever know that these sons of hers, her beloved